Hello guys, in this video I'm gonna show you how you can walk through with Kubernetes CLI. As I already shared some details related to Kubernetes CLI, Kubernetes requires some certificate information which actually CLI requires to connect to the Kubernetes cluster. In that case, we already have a key that actually presents in your kube directory, which is reside under your home directory. If you go to the kubectl.kubeconfig, you will find a file called config. This particular file has all the credentials related to the Kubernetes cluster. If you don't have that file, so you can contact me or contact anyone from IT or DevOps, so they will provide you some sort of rights to access the Kubernetes CLI. Once you have this particular file, you can go to your home directory and place this file under the kube.kube folder. Or if you have if you are managing multiple Kubernetes cluster, so what you can do is you can just runtime export this particular variable like which called as kubeconfig, and you can give your configuration file path. So after this, you will be able to see, or you will be able to connect your Kubernetes cluster from CLI. So let's suppose if I wanted to see how many nodes in my cluster, so I can see it by kubectl get nodes. This will give me idea and the number of nodes currently running in my cluster. So you can see that we have 5 nodes currently in our cluster. One is performing as a master, and others roles are node. So that means master is only supposed to schedule some jobs, some pods, and maintaining some replica sets and stuff like that. And the node instances are used to schedule the pods and used to deploy the containers on it. So let's suppose if I wanted to see more information about my nodes like IP and the Kubernetes plain version, so I just need to pass as Kubernetes kubectl get nodes -o wide. So this will give me some more information about the IPs, like internal IPs. This is the instance private IP, this is the instance public IP, this is the operating system currently OS like node has, this is the kernel version, and also this is the container runtime version. So these information and this particular field also telling you how many days the cluster is being, or the node is being running. So we had activity 25 days back, so it's saying that its age is 25 days. So status says that it is in ready states. If it is not in, there are some other states like not ready and taint and not scheduled. So these states actually telling you, this particular field actually telling you the status of the nodes. This is the node of the name of the node. So this is coming from the host name, instance host name. So moving forward, next step, how I can see the currently running pods in my systems. So for this particular purpose, I can issue a command kubectl get pods. So this will show me number of pods currently we have in the cluster. So right now we have I don't know number of pods running into the cluster. So let me describe how about this output. So this output says this is the pod name, and this particular field tells one by one, like the deployment has one pod, and under the pod we have one container, and the status is running. Restarts tells you how many times it got restarted, like pod got restarted, and age also tell you from how long it's been running. So here you can see that number of restarts are 10. That means this particular pod is restarted 10 times till now, within the 14 days. If I wanted to see the logs, or if I wanted to access SSH into the pod, so what I can do is I can do kubectl exec space minus IT and the pod name, and minus minus. Now I need to issue a command called bash. So this will take me to the containers shell, and from where I can like it's more like a Linux container. So from here I can do whatever I used to go with a server. It is more like a server. Like you can see here, we have a log file, so we can view the log file. We have a web apps folder, so we can navigate to the web apps folder, and we can see the contents residing in the web apps. So we can more navigate to underneath directories, and we can do a lot of stuff, like we can check the configuration files. It is more like a server. So nothing changed. It's not like it's more like a container. It's actually a container. So in reality, pods has multiple containers, but in our case we are deploying one container per pod. So this is one thing. The another thing which I wanted to show you, like how you can see the status of the pod. Like I have issued the command called kubectl get pods. So it will show me like whenever I execute kubectl get pods, it only execute it only shows the pods which are currently in the default namespace. If I wanted to see the pods from all the namespaces, so I need to assign a command called kubectl get pods minus minus all dash namespaces. So this will give me the number of pods and the name of the pods from all the namespaces. We have multiple namespaces like Kubernetes dashboard, monitoring, kube system, default, and cert manager. This is the work. This is the namespace we normally deploy our pods. So you can see there are a lot of pods running underneath. We have a cert manager. We have DNS controller. We have etcd manager events. We have etcd manager main for IP. We have kube API server. We have kube controller manager. We have kube DNS. We have kube proxy. These are the networking modules. This is the dashboard, and there are a lot of stuff over here. So let's more dig into the default namespace. If I go over here and hit the command again, like kubectl get pods, so I would see there are a lot of pods. So if I wanted to see the logs of like more details about this particular pod, so I can say kubectl describe pod and the pod name. So this will show me a brief information about the pod and its deployment. Let's go through with this. This field shows the name of the pod, and this is the namespace we earlier talked about. This is the priority. That means we have a priority which we are not using right now. So we will discuss this later. This is the node name where this particular pod is deployed. So this particular pod has a label called access, and let's talk about some networking and some other stuff. So this particular pod has this IP is actually coming from Kubernetes DHCP. So it's actually not from the AWS. It's not actually from your local network. It's actually coming from the DHCP, which is running under the Kubernetes cluster. So we have more information about this controlled by replica sets and access deployments. That means we under the access deployment, we have a replica set which actually controls this particular pod. So for more information about the containers, we can see that access container ID is this. If we issue a command on this particular node for Docker PS, we will see a container with this particular hash ID. So this container is spawned up with this particular Docker image, and image ID is Docker pullable blah 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 blah. So if we go to this particular node and we issue a command Docker images, then we will see this particular image. This port is actually binded to the container, and we haven't specified a host port because we don't need to. Currently state is running. This pod is started at 23rd July 2020, and it is in ready state, and restart count is 0. Here is the interesting information which normally we in basic deployment we never used to see that. So we have some resource limitation implemented in containers. This means we have a limit called 900 megahertz for CPU. Like this particular container could not exceed more than 900 megahertz of CPU utilization. In terms of memory, it only can consume 1200 megabytes. This is the hard limit, and this is the soft limit. So it can occupy this at starting, but if container is feeling the memory and CPU pressure, so it can go to this particular limit. If this limit exhausts, then container will like terminate or restart with the error code unkilled. So this is the variable that we pass through environmental variable, and there are some other information which is not relevant right now. So we can see that container is initialized. These are the condition types. We have a volume mount, which we because our application is stateless, so we are not mounting any kind of volume to it. So in this video I showed how you can work with the containers. The other thing which I would like to, before we signing off to the for this particular video, I would love to see show how we can get logs to particular container. Like if I say kubectl get pods, so I will see number of pods. If I wanted to see some logs from any kind of particular container, so I can issue a command. I can see with kubectl binaries as well. So let's suppose we have a container called access deployment blah 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 blah. If I wanted to see logs from we are assuming that this particular container has some kind of application running underneath it, and we would like to see the error, like we would like to see some error from that particular container. So either application or either system logs, we can pull it out. So kubectl logs command log command enables you to see the std error, std out, and std in messages running flowing within the container. So if I say kubectl get log, so I can see the messages from the container. If I wanted to follow, so I can see -f. So it will continue to flow the message, like it will keep it is more like tail space -f. So this is one thing. Assuming that if I have a container access deployment blah blah blah, and I would like to execute command, and I don't want to access this particular container, so I can execute it from outside the container. For this particular for this particular purpose, I can say kubectl exec space -it and the container name and minus and I can execute any command from here. Like I say ls space -la. So what this particular command does, it will execute the shell and execute this particular container, and under the container it will execute this particular command. So we can see that ls command is running from the container. If I go to the container's home directory, so I will see the same container which I currently seeing now. So from like that we can execute as many as command for Linux. But do remember this from here you only can run the command which supports the bash shell. If you have any other shell, so you would not be able to run your commands. So this is it. I hope we discussed a lot about pods. In a later video we will discuss about deployments, and we will see how we can manage the pod from UI as well. Till then, thank you very much.